is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis coming to you with a quick video. I wanted to let you guys know I got some new merchandise available, not just t-shirt anymore. I got different type of t-shirt, different type of shirts and logos that you can purchase on my spread shirt, and also hoodies now. We have expanded and added more to the channel and more merchandise for the brand. Thanks for supporting. It will be in the description and the links will be in the comment section below. Thanks for helping me and supporting the movement. Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis. I'm going to check out the video. What is good, YouTube? One of the last big teams left is Philadelphia 76ers. This is a team that I was waiting on to see if they was going to do anything else. It seems like they're done. Only thing that can really happen right now before the season start is that they're in the race for Jimmy Rickety Tickety Butler. And if they get him, then I had to re-upload this video because that's a major move. Plus, that's going to put them into the championship contention, something that we all are debating. Is this team really one of the top three teams in the East? I think we all agree on that. But can they beat the Torontos? Can they beat Boston in a 7-game series if healthy? And that's something that everybody debates and don't get on the same page about. And I also think they're not going to beat Boston in the 7-game series. And I think that they can compete with a team like Toronto, but they also got teams like Washington and Milwaukee who added great coaches, but not only that, significant pieces to upgrade their talent. While, for example, Philly biggest move was getting Wilson Chandler, while Washington got Dwight Howard and Austin Rivers and other solid role players, and also Toronto will get Danny Green and Kawhi Leonard. Plus, they already won 59 games last year. On top of that, and then you also have Milwaukee added Mike Budenholzer, one of the great coaches in the NBA, offensively and defensively. That is a huge upgrade for them to get a championship caliber coach to basically get the best out of their personnel. And that leaves Philly, a team that won 50 games last year, got out of the first round, had chances to close out Boston, but failed and flopped in that Boston series. They could have definitely been up 2-1, 3-1, and on verge to closing out the series, but they ended up beating themselves. And that happens to a young team. You have pressure. You don't get the calls, and you never really played against a championship team or even just a great team that is preparing and adjusting for you, because this team hasn't been in the playoffs for years. And even then, they just now, this is Joel Embiid's first playoff games. And this is Ben Simmons' first time being in the playoffs. So they didn't have as much experience, they didn't have as much knowledge, and they really hurted themselves with the turnovers and not really paying attention and not doing the little things that help you win games. They was able to get the lead, but they was not able to close it out in the playoffs. And I think that that's something they're going to have to learn the next 2 years if they do get bounced out in the second or even in the Eastern Conference Finals. They're going to have to learn how to take care of the ball, get good shots consistently, even though it is tough because the defense are anchored a lot more, and there's a lot more intensity in a playoff game. So it's something that you can't really prepare for, but it's something that you know is coming, and you just have to basically try your hardest to make the right decisions. And I think that this team hasn't really improved that much from last year, but it's just about the development of the young players. I'm not copying anybody. This is something that I said even before this video, is that they're just looking for Markelle Fultz to take a bigger role in his offense. He basically didn't play last year, and he didn't even play in the playoffs at all. Markelle Fultz is 20 years old. He was the #1 pick for a reason. He can handle the ball. He can play in the pick and roll. He can shoot off the dribble, shoot off the ball, on the ball. He can actually get into the teeth of the defense, hit floaters, hit pull-up jumpers. Not only that, he can hit the three if they go under the screen. He can make the right passes to dump it off to Joel Embiid for a layup or an alley-oop, or even if he gets a stop and pop mid-range jumper or even a spot-up three. It puts the defense in awkward situations because they have a ball handler that can actually put pressure on the defense, that can collapse it and kick it out to guys like J.J. Redick and Robert Covington. And it helps get the ball out of Ben Simmons' hands. Ben Simmons ain't the best playmaker in the fourth quarter because he chooses not to score, and Markelle Fultz is a guy that prefers to score, so that gives them another dynamic offensively, and it gives them another person that can initiate the offense without having to rely on Ben Simmons every single possession to create shots. Now, I will say Ben Simmons is the better playmaker, but Markelle Fultz is the better scorer and has more versatility offensively. Plus, we don't really know what he added and worked onto his game this summer, so he can be even better than he was going into his rookie year. Even though he didn't play as much, he can still study the footage, study how people guarding him. Plus, he has players like Joel Embiid, Dario Saric, and Ben Simmons that he can feed off of, because at the end of the day, they can handle the ball. They can get, like Joel Embiid, for example, can score in the post and score in the high post or even in the low post. So he can play off the ball and be a good off the ball shooter, and he can get cuts, and he also can shoot threes. Brett Brown is from that Popovich ilk, so at the end of the day, he's gonna utilize Markelle Fultz just like Greg Popovich probably would, or even Brad Stevens probably would. And I think Markelle Fultz's ability to be that dynamic only adds to this team. It doesn't take away, it adds. And he can play that point or the shooting guard position. He has the size at 6'4" to play the point or the shooting guard position, and he finally got up to 200 pounds, and I think he should add a little bit more weight on top of that, but he'll be fine. Joel Embiid, I think he needs to really, since he's healthy going into this offseason, work on his body, work on his conditioning, and definitely just work on his jump shot. I think that's the thing he needs to. I want to see him improve that. I want to see him improve that the most, along with Ben Simmons. Joel Embiid is not a knockdown shooter, whether it's from the mid range or from the three, and you basically, people don't realize this, but he can be a better finisher around that basket. He has some good post moves. He has a good fadeaway, but I think he just needs to continue to polish up that jump shot, especially the stop and pop jumpers and the pull up threes. And on top of that, he can shoot a better percentage from the field. I think if he wants to be a dominant elite player, efficiency, whether it's turning over the ball, I think he can improve a lot more in the post, be a lot more aware, and communicate a lot more with his teammates so he doesn't turn the ball over that much or force up a lot of bad shots, or even just get stripped for not communicating with his teammates while he's on the offensive end. Defensively, he can foul a lot less and take he takes a lot of gambles and a lot of chances. Even though he did finish second in the defensive player of the year, he still has minor things that he can polish up and improve to make himself the defensive player of the year. And anchoring his defense is something that they needed. This team was not a great defensive team, even when they had Nerlens Noel, but now they are a great defensive team. And with Ben Simmons being an oversized point guard, athletic and mobile, and a solid defender, and then you add in Joel Embiid, and Robert Covington was an all-NBA defender, that shows you how scary this team can be and how versatile this team can be, going athletic and a lot of mobility, going to make this team tough to score on, especially if Joel Embiid is playing a rim protector and helping defensively instead of trying to initiate and do all the heavy lifting on this team. He can just worry about keeping the paint controlled, especially if he's switching. They can get him out of the paint, or they put out a big that can shoot, kind of like Jokic, for example, or Karl Anthony Towns. It can really hurt this team because they don't have that second anchor. Ben Simmons isn't a rim protector, and obviously Dario Saric isn't a rim protector either. So that's a good way to get, when we've seen people in the playoffs do that to Joel Embiid, like Al Horford too, them centers that can basically spread out the floor. They get their anchor, Joel Embiid, out of the paint and force him to basically not be a rim protector. And that's something that they had to do when they got rid of Nerlens Noel, and they put Dario Saric in the starting lineup. He's not a great defender, and he's not a great rim protector. Neither is Markelle Fultz. Neither is J.J. Redick. And obviously Ben Simmons not either. But that's another thing, just schematically, they're going to have to fix if they want to take that next leap to beat a team like Boston or Toronto. Another thing is just building on to the chemistry. They've been a losing team for the last couple of years. Now they build up good habits. They was able to close enough games in the regular season, and they was able to ride a win streak to close them up higher than the playoff rankings, giving them home court advantage. But not only that, it allowed them to build up confidence, knowing that they can win games, they can close out games, and that Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid is good enough of a duo to win enough games to make it to the playoffs. And Joel Embiid he wasn't even a part of that win streak because he was injured, and they still was able to go on. Even though the talent that they was going against was weak, it was one of the weaker schedules. They also took advantage, and you always want to preach, take advantage of the games you should win. A lot of teams like the Wizards, for example, lost to the teams that they should have been beaten up on. And if you want to be a great team, you got to beat the good, the bad, and the ugly. And they was able to do that. They was able to compete with the Clevelands, well, but also beat the Brooklyn Nets. And that's something that you have to do if you want to be a championship team. You have to go in there and approach every game like it's your last. Approach every game like it's a championship game, because the more wins you get, the easier to ride to the finals. Because if you're the number one seed, you're going against the eighth seed. Then you're going against the fourth or the fifth seed. And then obviously you can't really, the Eastern Conference Finals is obviously going to be tough. But you'll already have confidence and knowledge after winning those first two series and in the regular season that you can beat anybody. And then at the end of the day, which is the last thing I want to talk about, is execution. Russell Westbrook made a joke about it, but it does matter. Putting your players in the right position, putting them and running the right plays at the right times, executing the ball, not turning it over, getting the best shots, like I said before, is all important. And this is a young team. They play a lot of hero ball. They got a lot of, if the stuff start going the wrong way, they panic and they start rushing. It's all about getting the right screens, setting the right screens, getting somebody open, making the right handoff, even if it's a dribble handoff, even if it's a handoff from Joel Embiid, just making sure you're running the pick and roll the right way, making sure you're under control, making sure you're not overthinking, just going out there hooping and playing basketball. I think that it sounds easy, but like I said, when they played against Boston, they couldn't make their layups. They couldn't hold on to the ball. They couldn't really, they crumbled under the pressure. They rushed a lot of their plays. Even when Joel Embiid missed the layups, he was overthinking it and he missed it. And just taking care of the basketball. And that goes with execution and just rebounding. Joel Embiid was one of the better rebounders. Ben Simmons was an 8 rebound a game as a point guard. Rebounding wins championship, defense wins championships, and they on the brink of winning the championship. I still think that they needed that other piece to beat a team like Boston in a 7-game series, even though they did lose to Boston without Kyrie and Gordon Hayward. I do feel like the chemistry and them having the familiarity will definitely help this team going forward, being a great team and being a championship contender. But I still think that they should have tried to get Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard on this team would have been ridiculous. Obviously, trying to get a guy like Jimmy Butler will really help them because he's a wing that can score, but also create his own shot, plus handle the ball enough to give them even another dynamic. Because then you have Ben Simmons, Markelle Fultz, and Jimmy Butler, and Joel Embiid that can create their own shot. And Dario Saric has improved a lot. I felt like he was going to be the guy that was going to have to take a pay cut, but they ended up starting him and giving him starter minutes, and he really flourished in that role as a stretch four, a guy that can handle the ball, get to the rim, hit the spot up three, and create his own shot. And that gave them another dynamic and made him more harder to guard because he's an athletic four. Plus, he has the size to play the 3 or the 4 and even the 5, but he's not a good enough defender. But he's 24 years old. The sky is the limit for him. Obviously, you still have Robert Covington, the perfect role player for this guy, for this team, to be a 3-and-D guy. Wilson Chandler gives them more depth at that position. That was a good pickup. Jerry Bayless is a solid point guard that's going to run the offense and keep the team in order. Khan was amazing in Summer League, and I think that him having that confidence and seeing how great he was in Summer League, he's only going to give them a good 7th and 8th man off that bench that they can really trust. Plus, he can continue to improve because he's only 21. Obviously, TJ McConnell is a solid point guard. He needs to continue to improve too. But last year he had a solid year, and I think he wants to build upon that. Plus, him being a point guard, he's going to warrant a lot of minutes because Markelle Fultz plays the 1 and the 2, giving them some ability to get at least 15 to 25 minutes. And him having the chemistry with his teammates, and they needed him a lot, especially later in the season. I think that's only built up his confidence, and I think coming into this year, he could have another great year. Mike Muscala gives them a stretch 4 in place of a guy like Ersan Ilyasova, and obviously, that's about it. Let me know what you guys think about the Philadelphia 76ers, is they a championship contender? Is they underrated this year coming into the season? If they overrated, do you think Markelle Fultz will be a bust? Do you think this would be his breakout year? Do you think he can even win most improved player? Do you even think that he might even be sixth man of the year? Do you think he should be a starter? Do you think Dario Saric is going to improve a lot? Do you think Ben Simmons is going to add that jumper and that spot up mid-range that give him that guardableness in a pick and roll, especially if Markelle Fultz and J.J. Redick is on the court, or even along with J.J. and Robert Covington? That's going to be tough to guard, having Ben Simmons knocking down floaters and post moves while also knocking down that mid-range jumper. And then you still got to worry about Joel Embiid and the three-point shooters on the corner, so you can't really collapse that defense because you're going to kick it out to a deadly shooter. And if you don't do that, he can get a layup, dunk, or a floater. Or you can just pull up for the elbow jumper and knock that down. And it makes it easier for Joel Embiid because it gives him floor spacing, and they don't have to worry about clogging the paint and focusing on Joel Embiid because he can create his own shot now with that elbow jumper, plus his other scoring abilities that he had his rookie year, which was the floater, the layups, the dunks, and obviously the spin moves. But let's see what happens. Check out my website at NosisPlayground.com. Link in the description, comment section below. Check out my Facebook page at NosisPlayground.com. Like on Facebook to show support. Also check out my Spreadshirt. You can find hoodies, t-shirts, sweaters, and other accessories there. Thanks for supporting the channel. Thanks for binge watching and enjoying the videos. Check out my older videos if you're new to the channel. And let me know what you guys think about the Philadelphia 76ers. This team went from the process to now they in the process of making the playoffs to making the playoffs, and now can they get over the hump and win a championship? That's where they're at right now. They're good enough to make the playoffs, but they're not great enough to win it all. And that's the thing I'm talking about. Adding the Kawhi, adding the Jimmy Butler ups their chances of being able to win a championship, but they also good enough to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. But can they beat the Golden State? Can they beat the Houston? Can they beat the San Antonio? Can they beat the OKC in a 7-game series? They have enough talent to do it, and they have enough young youth to do it. But at the same time, they got to do the little things to get there, and those little things will help them win these series. And if they can continue to build upon that and get the right habits, they'll be right into it the next 2 years of being able to get over that hump to win it all. And they have the talent. They have the all-star. And now I think they have multiple all-stars, and they have the salary cap to pay these guys to keep them around long term. The only thing that they can't do is go backwards. Continue to build upon what you're doing and try to get to a higher level. And if they're able to do that, this team could be very scary in the next 2 to 3 to 5 years, and most of them not even 25. So this could be a 10-year process of them being dominant. Can they win rings? That's the question.